on Research Parkway. And when did you start the business, George?
2004.
Wow.
In my brother's building, then we moved in Research Parkway in 2008.
Okay, so
So we've been,
really well established.
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
George has taken me out of a lot of predicaments that I've been in. You've saved my ass. I took on a project, and I said to George, the big project from our synagogue,
Okay.
remember?
Yeah.
Broken frames, it was just torn pieces, whatever. And we have now a beautiful exhibit at our synagogue in our social hall of all these paintings that were just people trashed. You know, one of the paintings was found in actually a trash can. Other people have moved or they passed away and the family doesn't know what to do with this artwork. So they drop it off at your church or your school or your house. Somebody here in the audience is like Brenda from the Hampton Art League. She's got her stuff too, but George, you saved it and it looks beautiful. There was one piece that was huge, right?
I'm trying to remember all.
Yeah, and you saved the frame. The frame was big. It was too big. You really have to have a big space to put this big artwork. And he said, no. He said, we'll save the frame.
I probably didn't want to make the other one, a new one. Just too lazy. I could save this frame.
And he did it. And the original artwork is there. You know, there was other pieces behind it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, they get.
Oh,
The watercolor. It was a watercolor. Yeah.
I wish they
and-
videotaped a lot, or took pictures a lot.
But the
Sure.
same old frame
Yeah.
that didn't have to be thrown in the garbage or, you know, or buy a new frame. So yeah, you saved my life. Anyway, so George is here to demonstrate how important framing is to our artwork.
Yeah. And then, okay, so I'll take it from here then.
Thank you.
All right, so in my business, I know, run Research Parkway, like I said, wholesale frame company. We have a website you can go to. Not all the frames are on there, but a good majority of the one that sell and they fit our specific box that we can ship out. My younger son, my oldest son, my oldest son's fiance, so it's a family operation, so we're all working there feverishly to get stuff out of the door. Anyway, so I think where I'm going to start with first is we'll go over some just basic framing that may or may not interest you, but I was going to go over some things just to give you a preview, but I think the most important thing that we're going to touch base on tonight, this afternoon, is how the impact that certain frames have on certain paintings. It makes a big impact. Either it's going to, painting's not going to sell, or it gives it a much better chance of selling. If it's a painting that's you're taking home to your house and it's not for sale, then it doesn't. Maybe you can do whatever you want. It's going in your house. It doesn't matter. But if it's going for sale, you should sort of stay in the middle of the road as far as your picking frames. I'll kind of explain stuff as we go along. But we'll start with paper items. So what I brought with me is it's a paper mat. I don't sell paper mats, but every now and then I'll find them. This is a paper mat. I'm not sure how old it was. I'm sure it's pretty old. What happens with a paper mat, it has a paper core, it gets very brittle, and it damages the artwork. And what they did too, this looks like they used masking tape, maybe they used some other type of tape, I'm not sure, but that gets brittle, and the adhesive damages the artwork. So you always want to stay away from anything that's paper. But now there's a paper mat that's archival. So what they do is they put a buffer in it to make it pH neutral. So now it stays nice and white, it doesn't get brittle, it doesn't harm the artwork. So that's one. This is a archival mat. And then there is I think I have it here. I'm not mistaken. I do believe that this is a rag mat, I think. Pretty sure my son said this is a rag. So a rag mat is made out of 100% cotton. An archival paper mat that's a pulp, it's made out of wood, is buffered again, so that's a wood product. This is a cotton. So cotton is, if you really want something that's very valuable, you want absolutely positively, like something that goes in a museum that's worth thousands maybe, you want to use a 100% cotton mat. that being said, the backing, substrate that goes on back of the artwork, there's acid-free, oh no, this is the rag. Yeah. Oh yeah, see, this one is just flexible. When you tear it, you can see that it's different. If that makes any sense, probably not. Okay, so I'm gonna pass these out to you. These are, this is an acid-free foam core. It's a rigid board. It has a foam center, but it has an acid-free paper on the face and on the backing. So your paperwork is not gonna bleed into the artwork. So I don't know if, I wish I had, sometimes I'll take an old piece of artwork out and I'll lift up the mat, the glass rather, and you can see the image of the artwork on that glass. When that's, over the years, it gasses out. So, I mean, that happens too. Sometimes it depends if you're using, sometimes maybe oil paints or whatever you're using. Acrylics won't do that, watercolors not necessarily, but some photographs, some paper products will do that, they'll gas out. And so what happens is it damages the artwork. This is regular foam core, so I'm gonna pass these out. So, I'm not sure if you can see these clear enough. This is like an off-white, and this has like a clay, smooth finish to it. So you can pass these out. One's acid-free, one's paper. The one that's, and then, sorry guys, I think it's gonna have to go around. This is just, I miscalculated.
George, which one is acid-free?
Pardon me?
Which one is acid-free?
Acid-free is the one that's like you can feel it actually. The one that's white is just regular foam core. You dry mount posters and stuff like that. Or if it's something's photographed, that is the acid-free. This is what we, every time, if you guys come in to the shop and we're mounting something on it, it's a watercolor or a pastel, it goes on acid-free always. Because for the price difference, better off with acid-free. If it's original artwork.
Did you see it?
That being said, I'm not sure if I was clear on that. I don't know if you guys want to. I don't think it'll make a difference. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the. Actually, I'll go to the glass. I brought this. I have this in my showroom at the display. This is non-glare glass, which we typically don't sell. We typically don't sell this non-glare. And it's probably just like maybe an 1/8 inch off the what's called that black mat board of the artwork. See how it blurs everything out? Yeah. This on this side is clear glass. You see how great? You can't really tell most times, but the clear glass still grays out. So this anti-reflective glass in the center, it's made what they call a white water glass. White water glass, if you turn it on its side, you'll see like a light blue hue. If you turn regular glass on the side, you'll see like a darker green hue. So the glass is different. The coating on this glass is anti-reflective, sort of like on your glasses. At least I get
Doesn't
that.
even look like there's anything there.
No.
Well, yeah, because you'll still see reflection.
That's good.
If you look up, sometimes fluorescent bulbs will give like a purpley sort of green color to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice.
But it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
The whole thing behind it, and it blocks out this particular glass blocks out 7% of the UV rays.
Oh, nice.
It's reasonably priced compared to museum glass, which is the same product, same company, except the coating on that blocks out like 99 point something of the UV rays. If it's, yeah, oh, I'm sorry, yeah. You can even pass this around. Yeah, you can just pass it. Yeah, so that's the difference. So anyone, the artists that come in with pastel paintings, pastel artists, we've been putting them in. We don't use very seldom do we use mats on the pastels these days, because if you just use the frame on, use just a bit of a wider frame, use that anti-reflective glass with a spacer on it, and now it looks more like an oil painting. And pastels are so vivid, the colors are, it's really, they've come a long way, and that's almost everybody that comes in my shop. There's very few, they put a mat on it. And it's hard to put mats when you have a paper mat, and even when there's colors on it, because the pastels are so vibrant, it's kind of like, it doesn't quite, in my eye, it doesn't quite, I'd much rather put just a frame. But there's occasions that you do have to mat pastels, so I certainly don't oppose it, but
I'm sorry, could you just repeat, if you're not matting pastels, I'm just getting into
Yeah.
pastels and I'm just
Or-
learning.
Okay.
If you're not matting, then how do you keep the pastel from actually touching the glass?
Okay, so, good question. We have spacers.
Oh, okay.
So we have a clear spacer, we have a smoke. I use mostly smoke. If it's a dark frame, use a smoke. Dark painting, use a smoke.
Uh-huh.
If it's a lighter, that's very light and you're up against a white frame, I'll switch over to a clear. And these are very easy to work with. I didn't bring mine. But what you do is you get an X-Acto or a Stanley knife. Let's see if we can do this. This is going to be hard to see. So I'll go, let's just say that's the glass. So I'm going to mark that right where that glass ends. Just pretend this is an X-Acto. I don't know if this is going to work. Anyway. So you just put just a little cut in it. It just snaps. That's it. And then you take off the adhesive. And then you're putting it right on the edge of the glass. See, I didn't know how much. You don't do that. You don't have to stick at the edge. So you make a box right around the edge of the glass.
Mm-hmm.
It goes on top of the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
It separates the artwork, the pastel from the glass. Pretending this is the glass. And that's what it does. Then you put the frame on and you close it up. Now, there are times where you might want to just put the glass right on top of the pastel. I don't think it's the end of the world with pastel, with the paper that they're using. You have to remind me the companies that make these papers. What is it?
Hanson?
Yeah. So it's like almost like a fine sandpaper,
Oh, yeah.
an original
Right.
paper. So in my view, I know that Mallory, for instance, I don't think she uses spacers, but they put it right on. Sometimes if you don't want to see the spacer off, because sometimes you'll see it right on the edge because the lip of the frame is a little bit tight. So you might want to do and put it right up against the glass. I don't think it's the end of the world because I think just the nature of pastel and off, not like a photograph. I would never, if it's a valuable photo, and you want to someday reframe it maybe or reproduce it, never put glass on top of a photo, on top of a paper artwork, because moisture gets in there, that's it. It's not gonna, it'll damage it. Anyway, I think, is that halfway?
Thank you.
But again, what we do is we just, like, even one of these frames, the pastel will go in, you don't pick a frame that's too skinny, it all depends what the pastel looks like. And it's right underneath there, it looks like an oil painting. And again, the colors from pastels are so beautifully vibrant, stronger than I think a lot of the oils.
Mhm.
So in my view, what I've seen. So then the other thing, I just rematted this. I'm trying to do the paper, to do with paper mostly right at this time. Okay, so I have this. So this is the acid-free mat, which I painted this before I left my shop. I really like this paint. It's Bob Marika. Everybody knows Bob Marika, right? Right, so what I'm going to do is, I took it off already, there's this little tacky in the back. So there's a couple ways the way I do it. I cut the mat upside down, as long as it's not a pastel. There's two papers, two hinging tapes that you can use. This is for thinner paper. It's very strong, very tacky, hard to get off.
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, are you really? Okay, so, and this one is the linen. There won't be any adhesive left there once it gets, everybody's DNA is gonna end up on that tape. Send it back and just kind of crying.
Okay, thank you.
And that's the linen, of course. Linen is strong.
We saw it.
It holds up pretty good, actually. And it's easy to reverse. I just took it off here, and there is a little bit of tackiness to it. I'm pretty sure it's water soluble, though. But it's all acid free. It doesn't harm the art. And then there's the linen tape that has the gum. It's gum tape, and you wet it, and that adheres to the artwork. That's probably the strongest of the bunch. The stuff that we use. I know there's other methods, but Okay, so I think with Bob's painting, I'm gonna put the linen tape on. So all I do is cut 2 strips.
George, all these supplies are available at your store?
Nah, not really. I get them, but I probably can't sell them, probably, it wouldn't be any different than getting from Jerry's Art Around, probably. And at some point, we probably will have more of the art supply, we just haven't progressed that far. We have hardware, any of the hardware, any of the wire that you need, any, things like that. We sell the spacers, we sell tubes of spacers. But, and we even sold the ATG guns that put the 2 sticky tapes on them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just made 2 tabs on here. So I have this, as you can see, I have it right to the edge of the paper, so it's not sticking to anything just yet. But you have a burnishing tool or your nail. You have to burnish this. So if you don't burnish it, there's a good chance that it's gonna drop someday. You don't want that to happen. Now I just take my nail. There's several different ways. You can go like this. On your acid-free foam core, you can mount this right to the foam core, and then the mat will rest on top of this. But there's a different method of doing this. Honestly, this is the most popular right now. Unless you're dealing with larger pieces in paper, this is the way to do it. Just flip it over. Let's see, where am I going with this? I think like this. Okay. I think that's about right. So I'm going to take it back, flip it over. Oops. Oh, you don't have it. It still had some tacky glue on it from when I took the other one off. Okay. Switch it, and then I'll just burnish this side. That's it. And then I'll put whatever glass we choose, and then whatever frame we choose. Ain't that special?
Yeah. I like that tape.
I like this painting.
Yes.
Somebody brought it back to me. Yeah, they moved, they have the room, says, here, I want to give it back.
Oh, add to your collection.
Huh?
Add to the collections.
I know. I really like that painting a lot.
Yeah.
I'll probably end up framing it for Bob and give it back to him. Maybe. Okay, so I guess if there's any questions on anything to do with paper, so the other thing is, one of the big secrets about working with mats and papers, you don't want to ever squeeze anything into a frame because it needs room to move. It has to contract and expand and contract. If you don't have that, that's when you get the bad ripples in the paper. You don't go around the whole artwork, you just hinge it so that it has room to move. Although, amazingly, I've seen some old artwork I'm taking apart and I see that they taped it on the whole thing and it looked absolutely perfect, so who the hell knows? I don't know. But you hinge it, let it move freely. You don't squeeze it into a frame, because if it's squeezed into a frame, you'll have issues, because it definitely will buckle in there. Anyway.